Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, July 30th, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week has passed, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update I'll be putting on YouTube. And I may have to cut this short. I've had a really bad week and I'm still not feeling well, but I'm gonna try and get through as much as I can on this. So we're gonna start with Climate Reanalyzer. Here, looking at maximum temperatures around the planet today, and I know there have been all these reports of record heat, and they're saying July is going to be the hottest month ever recorded, and I think that August is going to be another hottest month ever recorded, or for that time of year even. So I think dominoes are starting to fall here. So here in the maximum temperatures, we've got greens over most of the Arctic. Here's a little bit of aqua just north of Greenland, and that's, you can see on the chart over here, that's right at 0 or freezing. And then we've got hot whites through the Midwest, coming south through Texas and spreading out through the Gulf states here and here in the desert Southwest as well. Here's the flat view. We've got whites coming across Brazil, filling up northern Africa, and also moving into the kind of the gray zone, which is up to 50 degrees C. And we've got whites here in the interior, the Congo, and then Saudi Arabia, Iran, Middle East, coming up into Kazakhstan too. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly, and you can see a little bit of tan coming across the Arctic Ocean. It's heaviest on the coastlines, and look at Alaska and Canada, this whole Northwest Passage, and then Russia as well. Then there's blues right next to the browns. Here's the flat view. We can see Europe is in the blues, but Spain, you've got browns going on. Lots of browns through Africa, and here, western Russia, down all the way through Kazakhstan, and so on. And also here, coming down into Mongolia. Australia, you've got dark browns, and this Antarctic is cooled way down. South America, you're filled up with browns. Here's our overview worldwide. we're up 0.76 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.15 C. The Arctic is up 1.88 C. The Antarctic is down 3.06 C. Southern hemisphere is up 0.37 C. The tropics are up 0.92 C. So, seeing this high reading at the tropics, that's been up for several weeks now. So that, plus the northern hemisphere and the Arctic, that's pretty worrisome. Here's precipitation and clouds. The green is rain, and we're seeing rain all the way across, coming across this Lactev Sea, and then we've got freezing rain and snow just north of Greenland. And then we've got rain and freezing rain here over the Beaufort Sea and Chukchi Sea. Here's a flat view. Got a lot of rain in China and southern Asia there. They're covered up. Here's what used to be the jet stream. It's degrading more and more all the time. And see, it's got all these loops up around the Arctic, and then it's like one big line going across the upper US and across the Atlantic. And then we have three layers in the southern hemisphere. So pretty chaotic. And we're going to look at sea ice in a minute. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for yesterday, and we're seeing browns and reds and up into pinks all in this Arctic region where the ice has melted. And the big news this week was Climate Reanalyzer updated their color chart here on the right. They upgraded it this week and expanded it by 6 degrees, 3 degrees on either end. So now it goes up to 9C higher than normal into the white zone, and 9C lower than normal from lavender into the white zone, colder than normal. So I guess someone was watching my show, because I had been saying for several weeks that they needed to upgrade that. And so thank you, whoever did that. Now we're more in line with the way things really are. So I was pleased to see that. And we still have this humongous evil eye here in the North Atlantic, just off the coast of Canada and Newfoundland, coming up to Greenland. But see the blues where it's colder than normal around Greenland on either side? That's from the ice melt, the runoff from the melting ice sheet. and so it's throwing everything out of proportion. And then we've got brown in the North Baffin Bay, and see the dark brown all along the coast of North America. We're also starting to see brown come up along the coast of California. This had been blue for the longest time, but now that's changing as well. And just all these browns, it's not good. Sam Carana's latest post was very good. I'm going to skim through that with you guys. So here's the Atlantic, here's the Mediterranean and the browns, Black Sea, Caspian Sea, Persian Gulf, Red Sea, all of those are in the browns. Indian Ocean is almost all brown, and look at the brown coming south all the way up to the sea ice in the Antarctic. Okay, here's the Pacific view, and you can see pinks here beside Japan, which you've got reds up here in the Sea of O coast, and then browns and reds along the equatorial region here. But yeah, we're setting records. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of skim through this Sam Carana's post. He put this up Thursday, the 27th, and the title is Record High North Atlantic Sea Surface Temperature. So that's in the zone where we've seen the evil eye. I think I'll go to the enlarged view here. On July 25th, 2023, the North Atlantic sea surface reached a record high temperature of 24.9 degrees C. The previous record was in early September 2022, when the temperature peaked at 24.89 degrees C. In previous years, a La Niña was suppressing temperatures, whereas El Niño is now pushing up temperatures. Arctic sea ice typically reaches the minimum extent about halfway through September. We're facing huge sea ice loss over the coming weeks. So here's the record high temperature on July 25th. That's for sea surface. Temperatures are very high and rising, and the following 8 points contribute to this rise. 1. Emissions are high and greenhouse gas levels keep rising, and this is increasing Earth's energy imbalance. Oceans take up 89% of the extra heat. 2. El Niño is pushing up temperatures, whereas in previous years La Niña was suppressing temperatures, moving from the bottom of La Niña to the peak of a strong El Niño could make a difference of more than half a degree Celsius. In February 2016, when there was a strong El Niño, the temperature on land was 3.28 degrees C. or 5.904 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than 1880 to 1896, and 3.68 degrees C, or 6.624 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than February 1880 on land. Note that 1880 to 1896 is not pre-industrial. The difference will be even larger when using a genuinely pre-industrial base. Okay, 3 sunspots in June 2023 were more than twice as high in number as predicted. If this trend continues, the rise in sunspots forcing from May 2020 to July 2025 may well make a global temperature difference of more than 0.25 degrees C. 4. A submarine volcano eruption near Tonga in January 2022 did add a huge amount of water vapor to the atmosphere. Since water vapor is a potent greenhouse gas, this further contributes to speeding up the temperature rise. A 2023 study calculates that the eruption will have a warming effect of 0.12 watts per square meter over the next few years. 5. Aerosol changes are also contributing to the temperature rise, such as less Sahara Desert dust than usual and less sulfur aerosols that are co-emitted with fossil fuel combustion, which previously masked the full impact of greenhouse gases. 6. The jet stream is getting increasingly deformed as the temperature difference between the Arctic and the tropics narrows, and we saw that on Climate Reanalyzer just now. And this can strongly increase the intensity, duration, and frequency of extreme weather events in the northern hemisphere. The image on the right, or down below, shows North Atlantic sea surface temperatures as much as 8.2 degrees C, or 14.7 degrees Fahrenheit, higher than 1981 to 2011. It's in the green circle. So it's in here. On July 24, 2023, the image also shows that the jet stream is very deformed and features many circular patterns that contribute to stronger heating up of the North Atlantic, especially along the path of the Gulf Stream, where the jet stream has a strong presence. Deformation of the jet stream can also lead to stronger heat waves on land that extend over the Arctic Ocean, which in turn can also strongly heat up the water of rivers that end in the Arctic Ocean. The image on the right shows huge amounts of heat surrounding Arctic sea ice and also shows that on July 28, 2023, the sea surface was as much as 19.6 degrees C, or 35.2 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than 1981 to 2011. at an area where the Ob River meets the Kara Sea. 7. AMOC, or the Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation, is slowing down, further contributing to more hot water accumulating in the North Atlantic. This further contributes to more heat getting pushed toward the Arctic Ocean, threatening to contribute strongly to thinning and melting of Arctic sea ice from below. 8. Increased stratification as temperatures rise combines with increased meltwater and with stronger evaporation over the North Atlantic and stronger precipitation further down the path of the Gulf Stream. This results in the formation of a freshwater lid on top of the North Atlantic, enabling more hot water to flow underneath this lid into the Arctic Ocean. Arctic reaches record high air temperature. The Arctic reached a record high 2-meter air temperature of 5.81 degrees C on July 27, 2023, almost 2 degrees C higher than the daily mean for the period 1979 to 2000. Arctic sea ice typically reaches its minimum extent halfway through September, when the temperature in the Arctic falls below 0 degrees C and water at the surface starts refreezing. So here's this high temperature that jumped up. And then he's got this image from the Brennan website of Arctic sea ice thickness or thinness, and it's measured in centimeters, so I don't know. I was not able to reproduce this. I don't know how he did it, but anyway, he's using Brennan, I guess, since the Navy is not reliable with updating their website. One danger is that as more heat is reaching sediments at the seafloor of the Arctic Ocean, hydrates will be destabilized, resulting in eruption of huge amounts of methane from the seafloor. As sea ice melts away, less sunlight gets reflected back into space, so more heat will reach the Arctic Ocean and heat up the water. Furthermore, Arctic sea ice is already very thin. The thinner the sea ice, the less heat can be consumed in the process of melting the ice. These are just 3 out of the numerous developments that could unfold in the Arctic soon, such as tipping points getting crossed and feedback starting to kick in with greater ferocity, and as discussed in an earlier post. And then he goes on into the feedbacks, and I mean, it is just a mess. We're in big trouble. So I'll leave a link below for this article if you're interested. Okay, now let's move on to methane. And we're starting with the NOAA methane data for yesterday, the 29th. We're on the Met-Op-B satellite in the morning, 1000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1848 parts per billion. In the afternoon, the mean was 1848. On the Met-Op-C in the morning, the mean was 1847. In the afternoon, the mean was 1848. On the 487 millibar level, back to the Met-Op-B in the morning, the mean was 1924. In the afternoon, the mean was 1926. Our high reading jumped up to 2487 parts per billion. And here's the main one that I tracked, the Met-Op-C. In the morning, the mean was 1891. The high reading was 2189. And see, we've even got pinks over the Antarctic here. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1894. The high reading was 2212. And then pinks all across this northern part. So here's our chart, our weekly chart for the just the Met-Op-C satellite for the 487 millibar level. And the 29th averaged out to be 1892.5. That gives us a slight increase this week here at 0.5. And you can see where it went up there. I'll show you what this did this week. So last week we ended at 1892.0. And then the 23rd, no change. 24th, no change. 25th, up 0.5. 26th, up 0.5. 27th, up 0.5. 28th, down 0.5. 29th, down 0.5. And giving us an overall increase this week of 0.5. Now, if you look at the 487 for all four readings, Met-Op-B and Met-Op-C, we ended up at 1908.75, which was where we ended last week. So no change here, so straight line there. However, at surface level, or 1000 millibar, the 29th averaged out to be 1847.75. That was an increase over the week before of 3.25. So you can see the line going up sharply there. And I showed in my show last week, I put an explanation of this sharp drop and then the steep rise of how this was misleading, false readings of going down, because the Met-Op-B satellite had very little data on it. So it reflected false decrease there. Okay, now we'll look at the CAMS data. This is Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services, methane forecast. our surface level and valid time, base, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Base time and valid time are both for Saturday, July 29th, and Arctic area and surface level is where we're starting. And so our data is from Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So at surface level here, like we saw on the NOAA data, went up over 3 parts per billion at surface level, and we're seeing it reflected here. This CAMS area is really billowing and on the verge of hemorrhaging at some points here. See there, and the Scandinavian area is filled back up all the way over to Russia, pretty blobby. You see the high readings streaming over the coastline of Norway and Russia here, and the interior of Russia is picking back up with its higher readings all the way across. And all the way across, this is southern Russia here. And here's Alaska, come back to life. And then across Canada. It's not looking as blobby as it has in the past, but it's still pretty bad, and the fires are still raging. Out of control. This eastern seaboard, sea is high. See these waves. Now it's like the yellow and orangey color that's moving out in the waves, so that denotes higher methane. So there's that. Now we'll go to the North Pole view. See, this European area has gone down a little bit with the cooler air temperature, but UK is still pretty high. Germany, Persian Gulf, see that's filling up. India, and see how it's these high readings are starting to spill over the coastline, like in the Bengal Bay here. That's a sign of very high methane. China is filling back up. Here's southern Mexico is filled up. South America is getting higher. And then we'll go to the global view. And we're seeing this lighter blue. That's a higher reading. That's 1860 parts per billion. Is creeping in and kind of overtaking this lower reading of 1840 that had been the main background color. Eastern Australia, you're really heating up with methane. the interior of Africa. It's kind of coming back to life. And here's South America, southern Brazil. See, it's streaming off of South America there. And then 500 HPA. You see the heaviest here over Russia and the Arctic and coming across, and then over the Pacific we've got heavy coming south. This is over southern Asia and India. And see how far down the reds are coming now, almost to the Antarctic, to the Western Peninsula. And we got yellows all the way down, so higher readings further south. Here's total column. And you can see high readings here coming off of Russia, coming across Hokkaido, and then this is northern China, and then the rest of China, southern Asia, all the way across India, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Red Sea, and so on. It looks like heavy here in the interior of Africa too. Then all the reds. So there's that. Here are a couple more things from CAMS. This is sulfur dioxide today. Now we've been seeing these higher readings around the Arctic. I don't know if it's being sprayed. You know, they're talking about releasing sulfur dioxide up high in the atmosphere to kind of block out the sun. I don't know if that's happening yet. We're seeing it here. We did see high releases over here from Alaska because of earthquake and volcanic activity, but that's kind of dissipated, and so I think this is separate from all of that. Here it is, 500 HPA. See that? And so it's hanging around. It likes to hang around in the colder air. And then we've got high reading here just south of New Zealand. I'm thinking plate movement. And this is the Arctic view. So this is Canada on the left. Here's Greenland. So the highest readings are all the way across this archipelago. And see at 500 HPA how it hangs around. Here's ozone over the Antarctic today. We're seeing aquas and greens over this whole Antarctic region. And we're not seeing the danger zone hole that has closed up, but the aqua is the next color up from that. And it's getting thicker on the outskirts. And here in the Arctic, we can see the ozone breaking down here over the Beaufort Sea. Not only is it chartreuse, but going into the next green level down all the way over this Beaufort Sea and a lot of Alaska, and coming all the way across from the Lincoln Sea all the way across to Russia and down. There's a big break right down here going through Russia, and then over Novaya Zemlya and Barents Sea and Kara Sea. Now, wildfire smoke will cause the ozone layer to create holes in the ozone layer. Also, high methane will create holes in it. So, definitely got stuff going on there. Here's the flat view. And see, we've got the big break going all the way up here through Russia. Here's the smoke for today. This is the North Pole view. And here in Canada, it's just filled up all the way across this northern part. And you can see the smoke is coming over the Beaufort Sea. And it's really lifted. It's lightened up a lot. And it's just barely like coming down into the US here. So this is cleared out quite a bit. And then in Russia, this is southeastern Russia. There are fires here. And see, we've got smoke even out here in the Pacific. Here's the global view, and here's smoke. These are fires in the Congo region and Africa, and we've got smoke here in South America. Okay, and that's all of those. Okay, I'm going to take a little break and then we'll come back with the sea ice portion of our show. Okay, I'm back, and now we'll look at sea ice, and we're starting here with our slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer with images that I save every day. And this is today sea ice and snow cover for the Arctic. And when we zoom in, we can see Hudson Bay is open. Baffin Bay is virtually open, just a little wisp of ice down here. These tributaries in Northwest Passage routes, they're almost all completely open. And you're just seeing thin and these pieces of ice, you know, when it gets into that darker dirt blue like that. And here on the east side, very little ice left beside Greenland on the east side. Here's a big hole, and this is collapsing on this north part. And you can see the whole Russia coastline is open now, and this little bit is left here in the North Kara Sea that's melting. There's still little area that's from the north part of Svalbard up to Franz Josef Land that's kind of hanging on. But you can see the different colors, and where you see it changing into gray and dark gray, and then kind of the blue color. That means that it's melted. It's much less concentrated, and well, for instance, like on this west side, this is all in collapse, and there's wispy ice, lots of room in between the pieces, and so that's collapsing, and you can see melt going further in here. And remember that what's remaining of our thicker sea ice is just above Canada and Greenland, and it's kind of in an arc like this, and that's the aqua, the 2 to 2.5 meters thick, and then the rest of it is in some form of collapsing. But we've also seen rain coming over this area too, so I don't know, how much the rain is going to have an effect or what, but anyway, it's in high melt. So let's see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday, the 23rd. So we'll just click through. Big change there on Monday, isn't it? So let's look at that. Yeah. See, big change there on Monday. There's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then here we are today. And because the ice drift, it can cause these the sea ice to kind of move back and forth, and where it had been a hole one day and then kind of fill in the next. It doesn't mean that it's good ice, it just means that it's moving around. And then don't know what's going on with the U.S. Navy, and they're updating on the website, except I know that they're not doing it. The Arctic readings have not been updated since the 22nd, which was last Saturday, which we showed in our show last week. And so just a couple of things have been updated. One was this Arctic sea ice thickness, and we can see the date for today. And this date is the date that it was run, the date it was run, the 29th for the 30th. And so the extent is just creeping out. I mean, it's just barely changing from day to day. We're getting some thicker ice around these coastlines. See some aquas coming in. And the majority of the aqua or thicker ice is here in the Weddell Sea along this western peninsula and coming out. And they'd not updated their 30-day animation. The other thing that they have updated is the Ross Sea. Ross Sea ice and for today. So this is the Ross Sea. Right down here is the southern part of the Antarctic and the Ross Ice Shelf. And you can see open water there. See the white along the coastline. And white up to right at the ice shelf or open water, and then it starts thickening up as it comes out. But what you're going to see is this ice out here, this aqua ice is going to be diminishing. So we've got a little bit thicker area here, and this would be on the east side. We've got to flip it to think of north, south, east, west. And they've even got some 5-meter thick ice along this southern coastline. And here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to today, and so the forecast period goes out to next Sunday. Yeah, and Tuesday will be August 1st, so 7 months down, 7 months we've gotten through this year. And so if you'll watch here, you'll see it's kind of thinning out and breaking up, so I don't know what that's about. Let's see. Here, I'll stop it at the end. Here we are at the end of the model, and all these lines, these are leads opening up in the ice from the ice drift. And it's pulling away from the coastline, see? So it's pulling it out. Okay, now this is National Snow and Ice Data Center for yesterday. Arctic sea ice concentration. Here the Baffin Bay is open. Baffin Bay, yeah, open here. Hudson Bay is open, as you can see. And see the dark blue, that's a hole right here by Greenland. And see the dark blue on this west side. All this is in a big state of collapse right now. This west side, and going all the way up to Siberia, and then this ice kind of north of the North Pole. And we also have a band melting coming straight down. This is an area where it had been raining this week. And then you can see just east of the North Pole, we've got another arc of an area that's in pretty high melt there. And here's the extent chart. This blue line is this year. Dotted line is 2012, and here's the median. I kind of think we're going to meet up with 2012. Just have a feeling about that. Here's the Antarctic. This is for yesterday. And see the darker blues here on this whole west side. And here's the refreeze chart. And the blue line is this year, and we can see it had nudged down this week, and now it's got a little nudge up. we're still well below last year, and last year was record low, and so now we're still at record low. Here's Greenland. That's a big difference, isn't it, from what we've been seeing. This melting is really starting to slow way down, and this is as of yesterday, the 29th. We still have quite a bit of melting on the north end and then on the southwest edge. Here are the cumulative melt days for this year. And so you're getting into greens up on this north side. Greens moving into like the gold. So 40 days of melting up here. And then on this west side, we're moving into orange and orange-red, moving up into 60 days of melt here. And very little area is still white, meaning no melt this year. But this whole southern part, that was just racing for a long time there. Here's the extent chart. So after it had peaked at about 52%, kind of mid-July, then it came down, then it went back up to 50, and it's been coming down since then. And here's a little stair step, and here it is today, or yesterday, what they put up today, at about 22% melt. And the median for this time of year is way down here, about 10% melt. So we're still more than 10% melting more than the median. Okay, there's that. Now, I'll refresh this. Uh-oh, what happened? Just trying to get the latest data, and looks like it's not wanting to load. Worldview came back up late in the week this week, and so we've got the satellite view. They haven't figured out a good replacement for that nighttime view layer. Here's our notice. It says near real time, or NRT, production resumed. Okay. And okay, this all resumed. Let's see, July 26th, it looks like. There are still a couple of things that are not available. Says standard products are not expected until sometime next week, July 31st. So there's that. And so here we are. You can see the smoke coming up from the Canadian wildfires here. So let's go in. Here's Greenland. And did we see rain happening here? Okay, this is a snowstorm and freezing rain, it looks like. So here's our snowstorm and freezing rain. This is the Lincoln Sea, and I can't really see that through the clouds. Here it was yesterday, and it's still looking cloud covered, so you can't really see that very well. Here's the nearest strait. See, it's cloud covered, but we can see this log jam of ice has cleared out. There's still a lot of pieces, but it's flowing. You can see here, see it's flowing out into this North Hudson Bay. Baffin Bay. Why am I confusing those? I think my brains are fried. Okay, and so this is open, just little wispy ice down here. And here you can see the ice sheet. See the dark color. When this ice starts melting, it gets a gray, even sometimes a black color. Okay, here's Greenland, the north end. And here's this hole on the east side. Here's what's left of the ice on this east side. Not much at all. And then we'll just follow this edge around. Here's Svalbard for today. That's hard to see. Okay, here it was on the 28th. Let's see, lots of open water. Back to the 30th. Here's the ice edge here on the east, and here's Franz Josef Land up here. And then coming on up, and here's Novaya Zemlya. You can see no ice here. And its Kara Sea is open. Here's smoke coming up. It's hard to tell. There's just a little ice left here in this North Kara Sea. Here's a pretty good view from yesterday. Here's what it looks like. See, that's coming apart fast. And yesterday, let's see what today, no, can't see it. Yesterday was really an extraordinary view of Severnaya Zemlya and all these ice caps. And here's Vovolov ice cap. Look at the gray around the edges. That's what I was talking about. And then here's where it's flowing into the ocean. See, it's racing. And here's the ice kind of piling up from this release over here. So there's a big area open around Severnaya Zemlya. Back to today. Okay, here's the ice edge coming up in the Laptev Sea, and we've got big clouds over this area, but see the white dots, that's the ice. And up here in this Laptev Sea, see that's all open. And around New Siberian Sea, our island, that's open. And let's see where else. And here, this East Siberian Sea, a lot of this has already melted. And then here's the Chukchi Sea and Alaska, and this is the Beaufort Sea right here. And you can see the state of the ice is quite poor. See, lots of open water, but when you see it on a model, it looks solid, but there's no way. There's just no way that's solid. And then look how far south this is collapsing. This line up here is 80° north latitude, but here's a big hole, and this is collapsing as you come inward here, see. And you can still see evidence of melt there. And here's the North Pole, and just to the east, you can see the ice breaking up here. And because the clouds and other circumstances, we're not really seeing much here. And then moving on out. And here's the circle. That's 20° north latitude. And so let's look at these tributaries. And so we've got some clouds. It's just hard to make anything out. And so there's that. And now, oh, I forgot to show sea ice concentration for the week. Look at this. You see this collapse on this west side. And let's go to blue marble layer. Here we go. It's easier to see here. And you can see these Northwest Passage routes. There are 3 of them. They're almost all open now. And look at this melt. Just east, northeast of the North Pole. Alright, let's go back and see what it did this week. Okay, here we were last week. Looks about the same. Here's Monday, Tuesday. There's a big hole right up here. Wednesday, big change there. Thursday, Friday, big change, see? Here's Saturday, and then big change here on Sunday too. So you can see that the state it's in. Turn that, okay, we'll leave that. And let's hop to the Antarctic. Remember, it's dark down here. So the only way we're going to see anything is with a special filter. And they used to have one for down here, but they don't anymore. And see this west side, it lots of reds and red, orange, yellow, green. And we'll go back to the Arctic. Alright, now we'll take a peek at earthquakes. 222 in the last 24 hours. Nothing really huge jumping out at me. And if we go 7 days, all magnitudes. Here we go. 1,872 this week, so that number's gone down. And we're seeing an earthquake at Iceland. Here's one in the mid-Atlantic, 5.1. South Sandwich Islands have come back to life. And we're just seeing 5s and 4s. We're not seeing... I can't remember if I saw a 6. Yeah, look at this Vanuatu. These are 4s and a 5. Here's 5.5. And it started off with this 6.4 near Port Olry, Vanuatu. And this was on the 26th. So it looks like it was in the ocean, so probably no damage done, hopefully. Alright. And they're just cropping up all over the place down here. Look at this, China, Russia, and so forth. And then all around this ring of fire. Alright, here's a larger one, 5.3, Arboletes, Colombia. We had movement on the Juan de Fuca plate this week. Look at this. And we've got 23 here today. The largest was this 4.4. Alright, so that's my report for tonight. And then bringing it back to a spiritual perspective. And we're going to finish up the book of Job tonight. It's a pretty short chapter. Job chapter 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me which I knew not. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy 2 friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and did according to the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Jacob more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen-Happuch. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days. Job chapter 42. So that's our show for tonight. Hope everyone is able to have as good a week as possible. I know a lot of the areas are going to have high temperatures, and so just take your precautions and don't go outside in the heat of the day, and take your precautions like I said. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you. If you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend you do it now, before it's too late. So God bless you. I love you all. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.